Hey everyone, what's up? This is Zach and I am here with a list video for you guys. Now for this list, I'll be going over my favorite debut albums from nu metal. Now keep in mind this list is in no particular order, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Now I think we will start off with one of the obvious common choices, and that would of course be Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. Often considered Linkin Park's best album, and either this album or Meteora is my favorite. I often go with Meteora as my favorite Linkin Park record, but Hybrid Theory would be a very close second for me. A great debut album for sure, from start to finish, front to back. Every song on it is great, I think. Of course, it has some of their biggest hits, such as One Step Closer, Crawling, and In the End. But there's, of course, other great songs on here, such as Paper Cuts, With You, Points of Authority, which is definitely one of my favorites on this album. And A Place for My Head, I think, is one of the more overlooked songs on this album. That song doesn't really get talked about a whole lot. Same with the closing track, Pushing Me Away, which I also think is great. I could really say the same for Forgotten, another solid track from this album. But every song on this album is just great. Everything from Chester's vocals to Mike's rapping, just it blends together so well. And this is probably Linkin Park at their most raw, at least as far as sound wise goes. But it's just great. It's definitely a banger of an album. So Linkin Park with Hybrid Theory, great album, definitely a very solid debut album. So next in this list, we've got Korn's debut album, which is maybe my favorite Korn album. I don't know. My favorite album from Korn does change a lot throughout the week or whatever. One day it could be the debut, one day it could be Follow the Leader, and then another day it could be Issues. Those three albums for me often flip-flop around as my favorite Korn album, but all I know is that those three would be my top three albums from Korn. But I do like the album Untouchables as well. That's another very solid album. That would probably be fourth place for me. But as for Korn's debut album, I think it's solid. I think it's Korn at their most raw, a great album, and you could say that this is the album that started nu metal. I mean, Korn was one of the pioneers of nu metal, and they are a great band for sure. And for those who don't know, back in 2023, I actually got to meet Brian Head Welch from Korn. There will be a picture right here. Yeah, he was really cool to meet. So yeah, Korn's debut though, I think is great. Many great songs on it, of course, such as Blind, which is a Korn classic, definitely one of my favorites on here. You also have Chutes and Ladders and Clown. Many great songs on this album for sure. I mean, it's just one you cannot go wrong with. It's heavy, it's dark, even lyrically it's pretty dark too, especially that closing track. So Korn's debut album is just great, and it's a nu metal classic for sure. So Korn's debut album definitely had to make this list. Next, we've got System of a Down's debut album, which, to be honest, maybe my least favorite album from System of a Down, but that's not really saying much because System of a Down has no bad albums. I mean, you definitely can't go wrong with a lot of the songs on this album, such as No, Spiders, Suggestions, all great tracks, and War, I think, is another solid track from this album. And I really do like the heavy guitar in the song No in particular. Definitely a great one and one of my favorites on this album. So System of a Down's debut, I think it's solid, but I think they would get even better with the albums after this, especially the one after this, Toxicity, which I think is a great album and probably System of a Down's best album and maybe one of the greatest albums of the early 2000s as well. But the debut System of a Down album, I do think is solid for what it is, but I just don't think it's their best work, but still quite good, I'd say. All right, so next we've got Adrenaline by Deftones. Deftones is another band that I don't think has ever released a bad album, and without exception, this is another really good album. I mean, I know there's debates out there about whether or not Deftones are really nu metal, but those first 2 to 3 albums are definitely nu metal, I'd say. And this album here has nu metal written all over it. And it's maybe my least favorite Deftones album, to be honest. I know a lot of people would say Gore or Saturday Night Wrist as the weakest Deftones album, but I happen to enjoy those albums more than this one. But with saying that, I still think Adrenaline is a good album. Of course, you have Minus Blindfold on here, you have Root and 7 Words, you have Nosebleed. I mean, good material, very good material, but like with System of a Down, I think Deftones would get better with the albums that came after, especially their next album, Around the Fur, which I think is one of their best. So, Deftones with Adrenaline, good album. I would say it's a very solid nu metal release, a nu metal debut, but I don't think it's their best work, to be honest. But still, I think it's good for what it is. Okay, so lastly for this list, we've got Sevendust's debut album, the self-titled Sevendust record. What a great album this is. This is probably my second favorite Sevendust album. Home would probably be number 1 for me, and then the debut would be placed at number 2 in second place. But the debut album from Sevendust is great. Of course, you have many great songs on here, such as Black, Terminator, Too Close to Hate, Prayer, and Wired. And then the heavy Born to Die, which is one of their heaviest songs, and maybe one of my favorite Sevendust songs too. Maybe a top 10 Sevendust song. So the debut Sevendust album I think is great, and it definitely deserved a place on this list. So there's that. So that is my list of my favorite nu metal debut albums. Let me know what you think. What are your favorite nu metal debuts? Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thank you all for watching, take care, and have a good one.